What would you do if a billionaire fired a hardworking single dad without warning, only to discover moments later that he had made the biggest mistake of his life? In today's incredible story, you'll witness a shocking twist involving power, respect, and a secret that changes everything. Watch until the end to see how one quiet man turned humiliation into an unforgettable victory. If you enjoy inspiring stories with dramatic twists, don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel for more amazing content. Now grab your seat and let's get started. Jason Miller arrived at the downtown Chicago office before sunrise, just as he had done for nearly 10 years as a single father. Raising his 12-year-old daughter Emma, every day began with responsibility. He had prepared her breakfast, packed her school lunch, and promised he would be home in time for her soccer game that evening. Despite the challenges of balancing work and parenthood, Jason rarely complained. His coworkers knew him as dependable, honest, and hardworking, the kind of employee who stayed late when projects needed attention and quietly solved problems without seeking recognition. That morning, however, something felt different. Shortly after arriving, Jason received an unexpected message from the executive assistant requesting his presence in the boardroom. The request seemed unusual, but he gathered his notes and headed upstairs. Inside the room sat Billionaire CEO Richard Hawthorne and several senior executives. Their expressions were cold and distant. Jason took a seat expecting a discussion about an upcoming project he had spent months developing. Instead, Richard leaned forward and announced that the company was terminating Jason's employment. Effective immediately, the words hung heavily in the air. Jason was stunned but remained composed. He asked if there had been a problem with his performance. Richard simply replied that the company was moving in a different direction and no longer required his services. No detailed explanation followed. The room remained silent as Jason absorbed the news. Some executives avoided eye contact, while others appeared indifferent. Years of dedication had been dismissed in less than 2 minutes. Yet Jason showed no anger. He calmly closed his notebook, thanked everyone for the opportunities he had been given, and stood up. His professionalism surprised even those who had expected an emotional reaction. Carrying his worn briefcase, he walked through the office one final time. Employees whispered as he passed, assuming his future had just collapsed. Jason neither defended himself nor argued. He simply nodded politely and continued toward the exit, leaving behind a building full of people who believed they had just witnessed the end of his story. Jason stepped out of the building and into the cool Chicago air, his expression unchanged despite what had just happened. He walked several blocks away from the company headquarters and stopped at a quiet corner cafe. Taking a seat near the window, he ordered a cup of coffee and checked the time on his watch. To anyone watching, he looked like a man trying to process a devastating loss. Inside the office, meanwhile, conversations about his firing spread rapidly. Employees speculated about what he would do next, and some even joked that he would be searching for a new job by the end of the week back at headquarters. Billionaire CEO Richard Hawthorne returned to his office, feeling satisfied with his decision. He believed he had removed an employee who no longer served the company's interests. The boardroom meeting was already becoming a distant memory. Then, less than 20 minutes later, an unfamiliar sound echoed through the street outside. It was the deep, unmistakable roar of a luxury engine. Curious employees rushed toward the windows overlooking the entrance. Their conversation stopped instantly when they saw an extraordinary custom Rolls-Royce Phantom, valued at nearly $32 million, glide to a halt in front of the building. The vehicle's polished exterior reflected the afternoon sunlight, drawing attention from pedestrians and staff alike. Security guards exchanged confused glances as a uniformed chauffeur stepped out and opened the rear door. Silence spread across the crowd. To everyone's astonishment, Jason Miller emerged from the vehicle. He adjusted his jacket and stood with complete confidence. Before anyone could understand what was happening, several executives from a prestigious investment group arrived in another luxury convoy. They approached Jason first, shaking his hand respectfully and addressing him as an important business partner. The employees watching from inside could hardly believe their eyes. Moments